Okay, good morning. We're live. Happy Friday. It's June 21st, 2019. Just getting back from Scaling New Heights, and I'm going to do a bit of a recap of the stuff I talked about at Scaling New Heights this week. G Suite, the consulting opportunity under the hood and beyond. And, my last session wasn't necessarily specifically about G Suite, although that certainly crept in. But it was about putting your business on cruise control, letting the bots do their thing so that we could stay even and focused and balanced on doing what we ought to be spending our time doing, which is not the repetitive tasks that can be automated, right? That was the essence of it. So I definitely wanted to go over a few things, but Lisa, you said you had a question, so I always want to start with people's questions to get those answered first.
Okay, yeah, two questions. There was a lot of information. It was fabulous. So happy to be a part of it. So my two questions after settling down and absorbing it all. The first one, just to get clarification, because I took notes on it in one session, then I wasn't sure if I heard it right in the second. So you have a G Suite account, so everything is very secure. We went over the securities of the safety of having it in G Suite. Mm-hmm. So now as a G Suite owner of whatever document I have, and I share that with a free Gmail person. Can you please clarify? I know we went over it, so I'm asking you to go over it again, but clarify, is that still secure when the free Gmail person opens it and edits and do whatever they want to do?
Sure. So, no, once you've shared something with somebody and they have it, and you have to keep in mind, how is it being accessed, right? Mm-hmm. So if you share a native Google document, like a Google Sheet or Google Doc, as in when I say Google Doc, I mean like the equivalent to Microsoft Word that they have.
Right.
Right. No matter whom you share that with, they are referencing that in your location. So that's still secure.
Okay, great.
Right? Because they're accessing it through your location, you're just sharing it with them. Okay. However, if you share a Word doc or an Excel spreadsheet, then they're just downloading it. And as soon as they've downloaded something, they've pulled it out of your domain and into theirs, which means it's subject to whatever security protocols they have in place, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so you just have to keep in mind, where is this document living? When you share a native Google Doc with somebody, it's still living in your domain. You're just giving them access to it. Now, another important thing to bear in mind is that security on things like that is often as good only as the user who is accessing it. In other words, if you've shared a document with somebody and they are sloppy about their passwords, then theoretically somebody can get their passwords and get in and get access to your stuff that you've shared with them, right?
Okay.
So that's the other thing. But that you can't do. I mean, there's nothing Google or anybody can do, no matter how much money or infrastructure you have. They can't do anything to prevent that, right?
Right.
When I had years ago had done a course on Smartsheet, I talked to their kind of head of cybersecurity because I wanted to get that piece of their product kind of down. And that was one of the first things he pointed out to me. He says, look, I can write all the code to make our app as secure as possible, but if somebody, is frankly stupid about how they set up their password and they just set up, Seth1234 as their password, making it very easy for somebody to figure out, then there's nothing he can do as a cybersecurity guy to stop people from hacking it from that end. And that's how most data breaches happen, is because somebody's sloppy with their password information.
Okay. So it's kind of yes and no. It's really the key is the native document. That's where it becomes secure.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And frankly, in my opinion and from my perspective, as long as I'm using G Suite, unless I absolutely have to use a native Office document, I'm going to do everything in a native Google document, because that's kind of the point anyway, right?
Right.
Most of the time, if somebody shares a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet with me, I'm going to immediately convert it to a Google Sheet and then email that client, let's say, if it's a client who sent it to me, and say, let's do this here, right? Because that makes a lot more sense to me for all the obvious reasons, right? We can share, we can collaborate, co-authoring real time. I don't have to worry about emailing versions of the file back and forth and trying to figure out whose changes we've lost because we both made changes with our own respective copies of the same document, right? All that goes away. And in Google Sheets, we can both be in there collaborating in real time.
Perfect.
Yeah, so it's only in a very rare case that I can think of why I would want or need to keep an Office document, a Microsoft Office document in its native Microsoft Office format. Again, just going to convert them right away. And sometimes I'll keep the Microsoft Office copy of it, just as sort of a backup, or just in case for some reason I need to have, it's a good way to keep a backup of what it originally was before I got my hands on it, right? Excuse me. Go ahead.
I would say it actually kind of leads into my very next question. The changes, you had mentioned being able to roll back to a previous version of a Google Doc or a Google Excel sheet.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Let me show you. Let me see if I can, actually, before I share my screen. So hold on, Greg. Let me see if I can find a good example of something that I can show you that with. Actually, yeah, this one should work. My little scrap sheet. Because this has been around for a while. So yeah, I don't think I actually showed this. I talked about it, but I don't think I actually showed this during the conference this week. So this is a great question. So when I'm in, this is literally my digital scrap paper that I use. It's a Google Sheet that is in my root Google Drive folder that I also have bookmarked to my bookmarks bar. Because if I need a scrap sheet just to take a quick note, or especially if there's a calculation involved, if I just want to do like what most people would just pull out their 10 key to do, I do it here for a lot of reasons. I've written articles about why I don't understand why people still use 10 keys. I get that some people like the clickety-clack of the keys, but to me it's like very inefficient, because if I screw up a number, I've got to start all over. Here I just have to fix the one number. So that's that quick little rant. But to see the versions, you go to File, and you go to Version History.
Oh.
And then you just click See Version History.
Oh my gosh, this is so simple.
Yeah.
People just start looking.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I always tell people, I know this I've said several times throughout the conference, is play with what are in the settings, right? Play with your settings. Look at what's there under the hood. That's why we called it. Right? And see, here I've got every, all different versions going way back. That's why I just realized this would be a great example, because this document's been around for a long time, right? And then if I want to go back to an older version, as soon as I click on a version that's not the current version, I get this option that says restore this version. And by the way, if you ever need to do a quick like swap and replace, what you do before you go restoring an old version, I'll show you a trick. And I use this a lot because, as I've mentioned, I have let me go back. I lost the document. I have almost every client, I think actually with one exception, every client who I do cash flow projections for, it's in Google Sheets, right? And so our process each month when we're updating it to do our variance analysis is to take the actuals and drop them in. But before I've done that, I've got to make sure I preserve a copy of what the projected numbers were for that month. And sometimes I forget to do that. I get all the way to dropping the real numbers in and then looking at it and I said, oh crap, I forgot to make a copy of the P&L and harden that and carve everything else away except for the month we're about to analyze. So the process I'm going to show you right now is what I do to recover from that, pretty quickly. So what you do is first you save file and then make a copy, right? So I could let it just go with the default copy of scrap, right? So I know this is the copy, because remember, this retains the full version history, right? This copy, actually, no, I take that back. This one resets because it's a new document with that's a copy of the old one. So this one has no version history, right? It's just to, have a copy of what it was before I restore an older version, right? Because what I'm trying to do is get an older version just for a minute to grab something out of it, and then I'm going to want to go back to the current version so I can make, in other words, you make a copy of it so you preserve what's there before you go back to an older version, and you can kind of copy and paste things, right? So, and I feel like I just probably confused the crap out of everyone.
No, that makes great sense. That's a great idea. Then
okay, good.
Yeah, just put a different title on it. Save it as original doc or something.
Right.
And then build away.
Now in this one, I go restore, an older version. Right. So I could restore one from last week or whatever.
Seth,
One
I
second.
see.
Sorry, just 1 second. I just don't want to lose my train of thought. So I would restore, let's say, an older version just to copy what I need out of that older version, and then I would go back to the current version, right? And then this copy is just a backup to make sure I didn't lose anything from the original current version. And then I can paste what I took out of the older restored version, paste it into this copy, and then and then go back, because ultimately what I want to make sure I'm left with is the original current version that I started with, which still has all the version history, right? That's what I want to make sure I don't lose in the process. Sorry, Tiffany, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I noticed that there's that option there to only show named versions. How do you name the versions as you're going?
I believe in the version history options, you can name the current version. There it is. So in the same menu, file, then version history, then there's name current version. So I can call it like scrap master copy or something, right? So I know this is the current version that I want to come back to in a minute.
You can also rename previous ones if you go to your version history.
Right.
And then click on the name.
Right. So I can take this June 11th one, and it's working, so it needs a minute. There it goes. And yeah, and you might have noticed this was happening before. As I click into a version, it's a little slow, but there I can say rename here. Right? And so now I've just renamed it with Hi Greg in there.
And now you can only choose to only show the name versions. And
right. So yeah, if there's certain versions that you know are sort of critical, once you've named them, then you can turn this option on, which is what I think triggered Tiffany's question in the first place, is to only show the named versions, right? Because those are, for whatever reason, the important ones.
Just an FYI, Greg is really hard to hear when he talks.
Yes, he is. I was noticing that, but I wasn't sure if that was me or him. But now that I have a second person, Greg, your audio is low. Okay, so that was a great question, Lisa. Did you have any others?
Nope, just those two.
Okay, so another thing I want to show you, I sort of referenced this concept, but I didn't really demonstrate it, and I have a good use case for demonstrating it now that I was looking at this morning. So this is my root Google Drive folder, my Drive folder on the web, right? Obviously, I'm accessing this in my browser. And then over here, I have the very same folder accessed in Windows Explorer. Remember that this is drive file stream, which means this is not an actual location on my hard drive. This is a mapped location into Google servers where my files reside. But it looks and works just like I had them on a local folder. And as we also learned this week, when you're setting up G Suite, if I do go to access a document here that's not a native Google document, such as a Word doc or an Excel doc, it will download that to a temporary folder. Obviously, it needs to, so I can work on it for a minute. And then as soon as I'm out, it takes it out. There's a temp folder, which you can actually choose where that is in your settings when you're setting up G Suite for the first time, when you're setting up Drive File Stream. So the moral of the story is, if I want to move files around, I can do it here from the web. Like, here's one of my clients. The company is actually called Afula. I can go here and right-click it, and I can move it around. Move to, right? I can do this, and it's not terrible. I don't love this screen because it's kind of small and hard to navigate, right? But the moral of the story is much easier to do this in Windows Explorer, right? So I'm going to take this this window from Windows Explorer, and while it's active, I'm going to press Control-N as in new to make a copy, right? Then I can just, since I'm in Windows 10, I can drag this all the way to the right to kind of snap it into place there, and then click on the other one so I have them side by side. Okay, those are really Windows tricks, not Google tricks. But anyway, then I'm going to go here to my Nerd Enterprises Inc. folder, get into clients. There's my Afula folder for that particular client. And for now, I'm just going to drop this in there. I'll have a better folder for it later, but just to show you that even with a native Google document like this, I can click and drag just like I could a local file, and you see how instantly it moved over there. And it's not going to mess anything up. It's not going to break any sharing. It's just a much quicker, easier way to get a file moved from one folder to another if you do it through Windows Explorer versus trying to use the move dialog from here and navigate it that way, right? This dialog is much slower in terms of trying to move something. So that was something I don't feel like I emphasized enough in the live sessions this week that I definitely wanted to cover today. It's just the same way you would drag and drop any local file from one folder to another, right? Just open up two windows, one to the destination, one where the source is, and drag and drop and move it, right? This is one that I actually created during my session because I was demonstrating how the integrations, I was demonstrating the ClickUp Google Drive integration, where within ClickUp, I was able to actually create the Google document right from within ClickUp, which is really cool. I was using the example of where I have a project in ClickUp for all the blog posts that I want to do, right? And so this is one of them, how to consolidate your accounts in QuickBooks Online to avoid reaching the limits. Right, and you can double click one of these from here and it will open up in your Google Drive, and this is how I'm going to start the blog post. Tie into it, I love you. But I'm going to help people avoid hitting your limits so they don't have to upgrade to a product that's 5 times the money yet. Right? So that's, again, the file management part is something that can, and in my opinion, should be done, right here in Windows Explorer. If you're on a Mac, same concept applies using the Finder, right? You just use your Finder, you open up two windows and drag and drop from one location to the other. Same idea. So even though these documents are not actually living on your computer, because you have this mapped location, they get to function the same way as if they did, right? And it's very easy to manage your files in this way, just moving things around, and much easier to move them around that way versus using the website, the web client, so to speak, for Google Drive. Any questions?
I have a question about the file share. So if I set up, I can only use it with one drive, or can I have it for the different drives? I have my free Gmail drive, and then I have my CAO Consults drive, which is like client facing. The other one's internal facing.
Mm-hmm.
Can I have them both on my local?
Well, all right, so there's two-part answer to that question. The one sure way to do it is to choose like your master account that you're going to think of as the synced drive account that's on your computer, and then you can take the other ones and share it to that account, right? Like that's what I did years ago when I originally moved from free Gmail to, what was not yet called G Suite, but the equivalent. And I shared that folder to my account here, and I believe it still lives inside of this folder. I think I have my old files, but I've probably substantially reorganized them since from within. Now, we were also having a conversation about this recently, and I think this is where Greg and I were sort of seeing this differently. But if you go into the Drive File Stream settings, which is where I am on my screen right now, and go into Preferences, I believe that the presence of this option to switch account, and I haven't tested this yet, but I believe that this suggests that I could have multiple accounts synced in Drive File Stream. Greg seems to think that I would have to remove this one and replace it with a different one, and that's what this means, right? So you know what? Let's test. Let's see who's right.
I was going to say, neither of us want to test it.
Well, no, because you definitely don't want this kind of thing crashing. So, but let's try email or phone. Let me see if I can do Seth at SethDavid.com. Okay, and then it wants my password. I'll go grab that from LastPass. Copy password. It says it's loading my files, and it didn't say anything about losing the other one, but let's see. Okay, so I think Greg may be right. It looks like it swapped them out because I no longer see the files from my Nerd Enterprises account. So
That
Greg
happens
wins
every
this
once
one.
in a while.
What?
That happens every once in a while.
But keep in mind that notice, like all my files are like instantly gone. It's not like it needed hours to delete them because again, they're not living on my computer. So to switch accounts again is a very quick swap by just going back into those preferences, which I'm now going to do, and switching back.
So then you can have both. You just have to just be
Well,
aware where you're working. So if you have client facing, you're client facing, and if you're internal, you're working internal.
well, yeah, it's not really, but again, it's not that you have both at the same time. It's that you log out of one and into the other, and whichever one you're logged into is what you're going to see in your G drive now. That's because remember that G drive is really just a virtual, it's a mapped location. So again, I'm going to copy the password from my main account. And now I'm back to, and keep in mind, and this kind of helps also underscore and illustrate what it really means to have it be a mapped location and not a sync, is instantly when I switch accounts, it's all just there, right? It didn't have to download anything. There's nothing to download because it's just referencing a location on Google servers, right? So if this wasn't clear, in our prior sessions on this that we've done with 97 and up, and it probably definitely wasn't clear when I talked about it this week at Scaling New Heights, but we've beaten this up quite a bit in 97 and up, just to see. And as you've just heard, Greg and I have both had, different ideas about what this actually looked like. Greg was right in this case. I thought it might just create two sort of Google Drive references where I can click on them. But what I realize now, literally in this moment, as we've tested it, is it doesn't make a difference. But you do just have to switch accounts. And the instant that you do, you go to the G drive and it's all there, whichever account you've accessed, right? So one thing you'll want to do, Carolyn, going back to your question, to make sure you know what planet you're on, if it's not really distinct from the folders that appear, is maybe put a folder in each account's root folder. Like if I was worried that I was going to be confused between whether I was looking at my personal or my business, what I might do is right here in the root My Drive location, create a new folder, right, and call it, first of all, something like underscore to make sure it's at the top, and call it Nerd Business Account, so that anytime I've logged in to this account, I see that right here, so that I'm reminded, okay, this is what planet I'm on, right?
I sort of do that with Chrome. I've copied all my bookmarks to both Chrome, but to help me keep straight of where I'm working, I hop between those two Chrome sessions.
Okay.
So I'll do the same thing with this, basically.
Right. And speaking of switching between Chrome sessions, I have a few that I'm logged into here. So, and you can name those. That's how I distinguish those, right? So this one that's called Seth is really my Seth at SethDavid.com. Which sometimes I think of it as my personal, but it's really not. I had created it because at one point SethDavid.com had become my main website, and I had sort of put Nerd Enterprises to the side as just a branding site. And then it's interesting. Somebody this week at Scaling had said, "Oh, Seth's got all these sites," and I'm like, "No, I don't." And she said, "Well, you have SethDavid.com," and I said, "No. If you go to that site now, right on the homepage, it says we've moved to NerdEnterprises.com." So, anyway. Another story for another day. But so you can see when you click here how you can have multiple accounts, accessible from within Chrome. And if I click this, it will launch in a whole separate browser session, which is completely distinct. So by the way, this is a great way to access multiple QuickBooks Online companies at the same time, which is really handy if you have to do intercompany transactions, right? And some people say, well, can't you just do an incognito window? Well, you can, but then you lose all your bookmarks, right? And pretty much everything else that you probably want access to while you're working in QuickBooks Online, right? So you can do incognito, but it kind of defeats the purpose, or let's just say that it's less productive than doing it this way, right? So, and the other thing you can always do is I can be logged into multiple accounts within the same browser session, and I can add them right here. So this is the other way, is right within Google. And a good example of that is where I want to be able to, because sometimes I want to access email across multiple accounts quickly. And I'm going to stop my sharing for a second just to make sure nothing confidential is on my email inbox here, which it doesn't look like there is. So I don't often do this with Google Drive, although you could, as you just saw. But from here, sometimes I just want to quickly jump over to, and I cleared my cache so it's not here. So I'll show you the process. From here, I can log into my Seth at Seth. Actually, why don't I just do it from LastPass? Certainly easier. By the way, the search in LastPass, when you have 10 Google accounts like I do, is often very helpful. So now what this allows me to do is easily toggle between Gmail accounts. So here's my nerdenterprises.com. I'm currently in my SethDavid.com. And when you do that, it opens it up in another tab. So it actually lets you access your email from two different G Suite domains, each on its own tab, but inside the same browser session, right? That's the difference. Is doing it this way, I'm still in my Nerd Enterprises browser session. No. Do I? Oh, yeah, actually I do. I'm in the same browser session here. I'm in my Nerd Enterprises browser session, but I'm opening up two different emails from two different domains in that same browser session, as opposed to just going to my Seth at SethDavid.com browser session and opening up the email there. So it's just a few different ways to get at the same thing, you know, and there's no right or wrong way on this. It's, you know, with all this kind of stuff, there's almost never a right or wrong way. It's more like what's going to work well for you, right? Some people would probably drive themselves crazy accessing two different emails in the same browser session. They just get confused. So in that case, you might be better off, or it's just easier for you to maintain it in a separate browser session, right? And then to manage these browser sessions, the first time that you log in and set this up, you may only see the one account. So you'll have to go into your settings here and go to manage your, it's not manage your Google account, it's manage people. It's here. And so this gives me a list of all the ones that I've, set up as logins. And then I can add a person, right? And that person would be the next, another Google or Gmail account that I'd want to access from here, right? And then you can choose an icon. And then I always uncheck this. This gets annoying, but if you don't, it'll create a separate desktop shortcut so that you can quickly launch that user, and their email and so on from there. So that's how you get this set up to begin with, so that you can access multiple Google accounts from your browser.
I also use setting up a different theme for each browser, for each identity, so that I know that when I'm green, I'm working on the numbers guy. If I'm yellow, I'm working on my delivery business.
Oh, so you said you set up a different theme for each browser. Yeah, that's smart also, which I had done too. And keep in mind, there's a theme for the browser, and there's also a theme for the Gmail itself, right? So, and the two are different. So I do that with the email too, is I have a different theme for each, so it's really clear. And it might sound silly, but I actually change those themes up, periodically, just to, because it's like, that's your office environment, right? That's the world you're working in. So it's almost like redecorating your office, because I'm living and looking at that all day long, right? Well, not really all day. We shouldn't have our email open all day. That's another conversation. But you get my point, is that it's nice to just change it up once in a while. Like, have you ever rearranged your desk and just your space in your office, and it just feels good? It feels like you're in a whole new office space, right? Same idea here. It's just the sort of digital version. Let me check in on.
Next time you see me, I will be in a new office.
That's right, because you're going to be in your new home office, correct?
Yep.
That's awesome. Everybody congratulate Greg. He bought a home. He and his wife got a new home.
Congratulations, Greg.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thanks, y'all. And it's definitely been a process, but once I was able to get the finances in order, that was a great help, and definitely being part of 97 and up helped get me there.
Have you bought your lawnmower and your art tools yet?
I will be paying monthly for my lawnmower and yard tools.
Yep, that's what I inherited my gardener from the former owner of my home when I bought it, and used him for many, many years, and then he retired, and now we have a new one, a relatively new one.
The same guy that's been taking care of this house for the last 8.5 years, he's going with me over to the new place. We're only moving, 3 blocks one direction, 3 blocks another.
So I'm just looking at the live feeds on Facebook. Let's see. Suchi says, true story, Seth tells the truth. I forgot what that was in reference to. I remember it.
Taking email addresses at Scaling New Height, you were being honest.
That's right. That's right. And she says, that was me, also in reference to something I was saying earlier. And Larry DeFara says, must be that all the folks from SNH are back on the web with a vengeance, cutting in and out. So sorry about that. But yes, these are always, always, always recorded, which reminds me, I want to show you what I was actually originally going to start off to show you. But I wanted to get to questions first. So let's show you something else. So for those of you who are watching at home, who either weren't at the conference or were at the conference but didn't get to my sessions, or were at the conference and got to my sessions but didn't get the memo, on my website, this is the new website. So it's new.nerdenterprises.com. Should be easy to remember, right? Because it's just like the current website, nerdenterprises.com, but just put new dot in front of that, right? new.nerdenterprises.com. And for right now, I have it in the main navigation, but this is going to come off soon, but the page will still be there, right? And I've sent this out in the email that I sent out yesterday, and I'll send it out again. So especially if you know of somebody else who would want to sign up to get these resources, please send them here to this page. So this page is just going to be new.nerdenterprises.com / and then it should be easy to remember again, SNH, as in Scaling New Heights - 2019, right? So that's where this page is going to be. The page is not going away. I'm just going to pull it from the navigation now that the conference is over. I'll leave it up for a few more days. Probably by Monday I'll take it down. But again, the page will be live. So if you have the link, you'll be able to get to it. And just come here and fill out this form real quick. Just name, email, company, and then just let me know what world you work in, right? If you're a CPA, EA, just a general accountant or bookkeeper or other, add any comments and submit. And you'll be subscribed to get updates specifically around what I talked about at Scaling New Heights. So this isn't my main email list where I email everybody every Saturday that kind of talks generally about my experience as the chief nerd at Nerd Enterprises, which a lot of you already get and I think love to read. A lot of people actually told me, I got to say this, I was really flattered. A lot of people at the conference came over to me and told me that they read my emails every week. Which feels really good to hear, because I never know, except for those who actually respond to them. Like Suchi responds to them sometimes and lets me know, like when she's really liked something I've read. That's how I know I've done well. If Suchi responds and tells me I've done well, then I know. Then I feel good. I'm like, all right, I get an A for the week, maybe even an A+, right? No, but some people tell me. So just to be clear, this is not that list. If you want to get on that list, if you're not already on it, all you have to do actually is go to the main page and sign up here where it says get updates. That puts you on my main list, what I call Seth's list, where you get the weekly emails, right? I make it real easy for you. So in other words, there's 2 lists. But so for the Scaling New Heights related content, make sure you subscribe to this list here.
And I just wanted to reiterate here real quick why people want to sign up for this, because Seth has the live Google Docs of his very detailed, thorough instructions from 3 sessions, and if he updates it, you'll get the update as well. So lots of G Suite information with lots of detail. So sign up for that. You'll be very happy you did.
Let me show everybody what you're talking about, Lisa, and thank you, of course, for saying that. I still have the SNH stuff starred. Notice, by the way, how I use the starred very sparingly, because if you start cluttering up your starred queue, it kind of defeats its purpose, right? So I really think of this as very temporary stuff, right? The 3 major things I've had going on. Well, this is something else I haven't even talked about, and that's super double secret Nerd Enterprises stuff.
I like the title.
Yeah, you'll hear about it eventually.
I want to know more.
Yep. So it's going to be like Genesis in the beginning. This is what you do when you're starting out, and Exodus, right? When you're getting rid of it. Anyway, I'm going to make it all very biblical. Anyway, going in here. Let's start with, and I put, when I'm sending them out, I'm putting them, Joe and I agreed, we did the sessions really, the first two were like reversed in terms of the order they should have been in. The first one should have been G Suite Under the Hood. And so what Lisa's referring to is this document here that's called G Suite Under the Hood Notes. And you'll see as I scroll down that these documents that I've created are very detailed. The idea was, if you're in the session with me, stay focused with me, because you're going to have all of this in these notes. And as you can see, I've got it complete with screenshots and detailed write-ups. By the way, another really cool feature of Google Docs, notice on the left you have the outline. So I can use the outline to click straight to, oh, what did he say again about Google Keep, right? Boom, right to Google Keep. Okay, and if you're not seeing this outline, go to View, and make sure this is checked off where it says Show Document Outline.
Another nugget.
Okay.
Hey, Seth?
Yes, sir.
Were there any videos, and if so, are you allowed to share them?
No, there's no videos per se, but all this is going to get turned into courses eventually, but that's going to be a little while because I've got other stuff kind of in the queue. So, Carolyn, somebody asked you something in the chat. So this is the G Suite Under the Hood, and obviously I have one of these for each session. Let's go to the consulting opportunity next, because that would be the next one now. And the difference, by the way, that Lisa's sort of referring to is, in the conference app, you can download the Word document versions of these, right? But that's a static version. It's not going to change no matter what unless you change it. These are live Google Docs, which means if I come back here, especially as I eventually start developing the related course content, I very likely will come back here and actually incorporate these into the courses. I'll probably add content, change things. I can update things. What you can't tell from the Word document version is that this little table right here, notice, is actually linked to a Google Sheet as a source document. And from here, I can actually click over and open the source, right? And so I can change this and say, well, if my monthly fee was $750, then the effective hourly rate changes to $375. And over here now I can click update, and everything updates for me, right? Really, really cool thing about Google Docs that I actually do a lot, where I can take something like this, where there's a calculation involved, do it in a spreadsheet, and have that embedded in the Google document so that it's dynamic. I don't want to do that. I just want to update, right? That's weird. It's not giving me the option to update, which it'll probably update on its own in a minute anyway. So, again, detailed notes, outline on the left. Okay, there's the link to the security page, and of course the screenshot from the same. All the stuff I talked about, it's all here, the admin panel. This one's fun. This one I did not show in the session at Scaling New Heights, right? But the point about this part was how easy it is to set up new users vis-a-vis email accounts in Google Drive or G Suite. And I just made the point. Once you click Add Users, the dialog is so simple. Anyone can do it, even if you're not a nerd. All right, then I got the screenshots from the device management part. All the things I went through, and possibly even some things I didn't go through in the live sessions at Scaling, are definitely included in here, right? The link to Dynalist, which I explained, is a great way to organize your folder structure, plan your folder structure that you're going to do for clients. And also, if you're using this, because we're talking about the consulting opportunity, if you're going to actually set your own clients up with this service, it's not going to be accounting related necessarily. But again, Dynalist is a great place to do the planning to see what I want my folder structure to look like, because you can set it up there and move things around as needed and rename things much more easily there. So, and you do that before you actually go to create the folder structure in Google Drive. And it'll save you some time probably in terms of, if you decide you have to rearrange things or do things differently. I also added this. I didn't mention this in the sessions, but it's been here. It's in the download that everybody got. But this is a newish thing from Google, Grow with Google, where you can actually become, it's almost like the Pro Advisor program for Google G Suite, Google Docs, right?
You can also, I misdirected my attention for a little bit, but you may have mentioned this, but you can sign up for a referral program.
Yes, I have. In fact, I made the mistake of not giving my link out. But yes, there is a G Suite sort of affiliate program. So if you haven't signed up yet and you're inclined to, please use the link I'm going to get you right now. Oops, I'm signed out of Airtable because I cleared my cache this morning. All right, I have high priority partners here. G Suite is one of them. I'm going to put this in the chat for you all, and I'll send it out when I email everybody as a follow-up to today's Zoom. Where's my chat? And as with anything and everything that you ever do, if you find you love a new app and you find you're going to want to recommend this to everybody you know and love and trust, then always search for the app and its affiliate program. So search G Suite affiliate, and there's referral program Google Suite. So this is where you can go to sign up so that you can become an affiliate, right? So first sign up for G Suite using my affiliate link, then get your own affiliate link so you can recommend it to others. Okay, so that's the G Suite consulting opportunity notes. And each of my sessions, like I said, have a comparable document. So what else? Implementing Slack and Evernote beyond G Suite. Okay, so in this one in particular, let's let it finish loading. See, this one for some reason, the outline's there. It just took a minute to load. But this one, remember, I went through a couple of zaps, right? So in this one, you have screenshots that kind of show you the steps in the zap, right? And if you remember, for those of you who are in the live sessions, it's very, very easy to create these. So if you just use this as a guide and go into Zapier and say, okay, the trigger is going to be a new record in Airtable. I did demonstrate in my last session, we actually built one of these zaps live in my last session at Scaling this week. So those of you who are in that one saw it firsthand. But even if you didn't, rest assured, it's very easy. You don't need to know anything technical. It's funny, a lot of people quoted me on this during the session and tweeted it out there. You don't need to know anything technical. You just need to know how to read, right? And if you know how to read, then you can pretty easily walk through the steps and say, all right, I want my trigger to be a new record in Airtable or whatever I'm going to use for my form, which could also be Google Forms, could also be Smartsheet. And I discovered something that I did not know about until last night. I'm wondering how many of you knew or know about this, which is really, really cool. I'm just going to give you all a quick second to tell me if you can think of what I'm about to tell everybody about, just in case one of you does know about this, that I haven't mentioned at all in regards to G Suite or Google's world. Matthew, don't forget to unmute. You look like you're about to say something.
I know about it. I don't know what you're talking about yet, but I know about it.
What is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I definitely know about it.
It's not Google Classroom, because that I've mentioned as a newish thing to me that I've noticed they have. All right, everybody give up? You want me to just spill the beans?
Jamboard.
No, Jamboard I've talked about too.
Thank you.
All right, let me show you. Let me show you.
Google Excel.
Yeah, Google. Google, you can search the internet with this tool called Google. It's really cool. Oops, my Google Assistant just woke up. She heard me yell her name. Let's go to Services and go to Google. And it's funny because evidently I bookmarked this and completely forgot about it. Google Surveys. So you know how you have like SurveyMonkey and other tools like that? Well, Google has its own version of that. at surveys.google.com.
Is that different than forms?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of overlap, but no, this is designed specifically to build surveys and gather and analyze results. So, and I did play around with going into a new survey, and so on the surface, it does look a lot like forms because you can set up different types of questions that gather different types of responses, just like you can do in forms. But I'm guessing as I dig through this a little deeper, we're going to find where it branches It branches off at some point so that you can actually, again, study and analyze the results. And this is what I love about my paid G Suite is look at the bottom right of my screen. I promise you, you don't get this with a free Gmail account. It's not free. Their support's amazing for this.
You may not even get surveys on a free one, do you?
I don't know. I'm guessing probably not. But let's find out. Let's go to my free Gmail account. And let's go to surveys.google.com. It looks like it is available on a free Gmail account, right? Because this is my hey, it's Seth David at Gmail, which is where I test. That's exactly why I have this account, just so I can test. I wonder if anybody's ever emailed me at this. I always tell people don't bother. You'll never get a response. Nope, just some administrative stuff because I use this to do videos too if I want to do a video on what's there in a free account. But yeah, so Google Surveys, really cool. Did not mention it once during the event because I didn't even know it existed until last night. Or like I said, I guess I did technically know it existed, but I completely forgot that it existed.
Want to say something cool that I just found out?
Yeah.
Like while we're sitting here talking, go to a Google Sheet.
All right, so watch this trick in case those of you haven't yet seen me do this. Sheets.new. If I want to just open up a new blank Google Sheet. I'm pretty sure that only works in Chrome.
Okay, type Greg in the first cell. Go back. Type Seth in the first cell.
A cell history?
And right-click it. Oh, you don't have it on yours.
What is it?
It's cell history.
That's weird. Where is it on yours? It's in this right-click menu?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet I know why. Because it's not really you have to name the spreadsheet before it sort of gets recognized.
Okay.
So test cell history. That might actually be why. So let's just say Greg, Seth.
Maybe we're not giving it enough time.
Yeah, we also may not be giving it enough time.
So anyway, that just popped up in a Google Sheet that I'm working on right now. Show edit history, and it lists everything out.
See, now here I have an old version from 852 that has nothing and a current version that has Matthew in it. So yeah, you probably have to have the version history in order to have the cell history, right? Because I'm sure the cell history sort of lives within the version. But yeah, that may be why. So I'll have to play with that later and make sure that I do have it. Actually, let's go.
Just a special bunny rabbit.
Let's go back to my scrap here, right? Because this one should definitely have history.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
That's weird. And it may be a new feature because if it is, that would explain it too. The new features, they just roll it out, just like Intuit rolls out new features in QBO to certain people at a time.
Do you have to be in a cell that has version history too for it to show up?
I don't know. I think the option would be there and then it would just show no history, right? Maybe I can find something here that would definitely have history. Like this one for sure, because this is one I use all the time.
Yeah, maybe I'm just special today.
You must be. You must be a special bunny rabbit, Greg. Okay, we're running close to the hour. Does anybody have any questions?
I set that. I do. Your new .NERD Enterprises, is that on your Kajabi platform now?
You bet it is.
It's
Yep.
way faster.
I know it is. Of course it is, because it's not WordPress anymore. And it's not my WordPress site. You know, I love the guys who built it for me that last go around, but they built it on top of a heap of crap, which was exactly what I was trying to fix when I hired them. And I didn't find out until literally the last hour that they had actually built it as a child theme on top of what was originally there. And I was like, I mean, in so many, I was pissed. I was like, you guys just wasted every penny I've spent with you, because that was the whole purpose of hiring you to redesign the site. And they were like, well, you would have had to lose all your content. And I was like, if you had told me that, I would have told you, go ahead. I can rebuild my content. I have archives and records. I am the most anal organized person I know on this planet. Like, don't worry about that. I will, you know, figure that part out. But anyway, yeah, of course it's much faster because it's built on a nice, clean platform. And one of the reasons I'm such a fan now of Kajabi is exactly this. I will never have to worry about this again. There's no plugins to update. There's no maintenance, because Kajabi does the maintenance. They manage their own servers, you know. And there's so much that I'm not responsible for now. Like if I have WordPress hosted with GoDaddy, and somebody comes in and attacks my site, GoDaddy's not necessarily going to help me. They're not responsible for that. You are responsible for maintaining the security of your own site, right? So I've had to pay lots of money for plugins that manage the security of my site. So a lot of costs when I finally get completely off of WordPress and get everything moved over to Kajabi, a lot of costs are going to go away, right? I no longer have to pay for security plugins. I no longer have to pay for backups. I no longer have to pay for anything except Kajabi's monthly fee, and they manage everything.
I think I hopefully have one quick question. Hopefully it's quick.
Okay.
My very last session at Scaling New Heights was on OneNote, and I know, Seth, you use it, and I use it for various things. I enjoy it. OneNote, he showed us, and I wonder if Google Docs does the same thing. If you take handwritten notes and upload that image, in OneNote you can search and it will find your handwritten word. Does Google Docs do that? I played with it a little bit, but I was on my Chromebook, and I didn't get to play with it a whole lot. Has anybody been able to search with an image of handwritten notes in Google Docs?
I think most apps these days are able. Evernote was kind of like the first one to do this, where it could search within an image and find something. If I had to guess, I'd say, which I would have to guess at this point because I haven't tried it, but my guess would be yes, it probably would work, but I can't promise you that.
I know I was playing with it a little bit, but I was on my Chromebook in the airport, so I just wanted to ask if anybody else had tried it. I'll try it myself.
Yeah.
Google it.
The moral of that, Google it. There you go. The moral of that story for me is I never handwrite anything because I can't read my handwriting. I'm confident Google will not be able to read my handwriting.
The day a computer can read my handwriting, OCR is perfect.
Right.
Yep.
I feel the same way. Although on these calls I like to handwrite, so I'm not typing and there's a bunch of noise in the background. So I kind of keep the noise, but yeah.
I noticed the other day my handwriting has really gone to crap from typing, because all I'm doing is typing.
Yep.
And my hand hurt and the writing looked awful, and I was like, oopsie, I guess I have to practice that.
Well, and I've had a computer since like the 6th grade, so I never really even developed very good handwriting.
I blame it on school. The more school I went to, the faster I had to take notes, my handwriting went to crap.
Right. All right, let's check it on the live feed before we call it a day. So no new comments on the live feed. On the Facebook group feed, Kelly Parks noticed I'm using Momentum a lot. I love how people just notice that, like when I open up a new tab when I'm sharing my screen. So she commented saying, I love the Momentum extension and the awesome screenshot. I don't know what she means by screenshot one. Momentum, it's not like there's a different Momentum one that's got a screenshot, one that doesn't. When you have Momentum, it gives you beautiful. Does everybody know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I think that's the.
All right.
Seth, I do have a question on those Google Docs that you were sharing from your content.
Sure.
You had the screenshot, and they looked like ripped pieces of paper.
That's a Snagit effect. Yeah, Snagit does that.
So I just need to look it up. Okay.
I'll show you. You know, we're all about sharing here, Tiffany. Let me show you. I show you exactly how it's done. So that's interesting. This is like an older one. So, and you have to have the new Snagit. The old Snagit had it, but it's going to look different, right? So see down here where it says effects. And let me resize this. So it's actually this effect right here. And I just love it. I don't know why. I just love it. I think it's really cool. So now I do it on every image. Same effect. Every image, I just do that because it kind of looks cool. Plus, somebody pointed out to me that from an actual technical standpoint, it makes it really clear like where there's a screenshot. It kind of draws your eyes to it. So it does have that kind of effect. I need to go back because I wasn't doing it at first, and then I started doing it because notice it doesn't just create the ripped edges. It creates a little shadow effect too that just looks really cool.
So which version of Snagit is that?
This is, I think, the newest and latest and greatest about Snagit. This is version 2019.1.2, 64-bit, build number 3596, release 5/23/19. So just make, I mean, obviously, if you just go and upgrade to the latest version of Snagit, it'll look, but this effect was there in the old Snagit too. It's just, it wasn't organized the same way. So it might not be, you won't find it this way. You'll find it some other way, but it's definitely going to be there in the effects. Because I got this from, you know who used to use this a lot was Charlie Russell, who, does he still write for a Countext blog? I don't know. It's like nobody's heard of him anymore. Charlie Russell was the chief editor of the Sleater blog for many, many years. And prior to that, he had his own blog. And for a long time, he was the technical QuickBooks writer. Like when Desktop would have a new release, he would dig in and learn all the little bugs, and he would give you the technical sort of back-end information about that release and whether or not to install it, or what we needed to wait for before installing it, as far as Intuit fixing any bugs that were included with it, right? Free! You get a new release all included with all the bugs.
I remember him, so I go far enough back.
All right. Who's that?
Alexa.
Hey, Alexa. Hi. So that's it. That's my G Suite recap in an hour. And like I said, I'm going to roll these all out into courses. In the meantime, and here comes the shameless promotional part, which I get to do now that I'm not speaking at somebody else's conference. For those of you who would like help, if you'd like to shorten the learning curve and not have to sit here figuring this out on your own, on the new site, which again is new.nerdenterprises.com, just click live support and scroll down, and you can sign up for one-on-one with me, and I will log in with you remotely, get you set up, teach you, train and teach your staff, help you get G Suite or anything else that I'm familiar with implemented in your firm. Goodbye, Matthew. And I'll get you through it quickly. I'll shorten the learning curve. I'll make it so that you don't have to spend hours and hours figuring it out, And if you're wondering what to sign up for, because I have plans that range from 1 hour to 20, actually 40 now, just do a 5-hour plan. I think that probably is sufficient for most people, where I can get you set up and get you in and trained, and then you'll have 5 hours of recorded sessions with me, specifically in the context of what you need to do with it, that you can refer back to anytime. And we log those all in Airtable, so in a click you've got access to the recordings that you can download. We keep them in box.com. So if you want more direct and specific help in the context of your business and how you would like to or need to use it, then that's probably your best option. The courses are going to be a ways off because I'm almost finished with Bulletproof Bookkeeping, which, by the way, when I roll out the last lesson, the coupon goes away. So instead of $4.97, it's going to be $9.97, and I'm probably going to increase the price from there. Then I have coming in the pipeline of courses before I do the Google or G Suite courses. I'm going to be doing property management with QuickBooks Online for real estate brokers and agents, a few other offshoot courses for the real estate industry in other products like Slack and ClickUp and other things. And then I'm going to do the G Suite. So we're probably looking at end of this year when I'll release the G Suite courses. And I'll do something similar where it's, I'll have a discounted price while it's rolling out. And the G Suite stuff I am going to include for my 97 and up members. So 97 and up members will have the G Suite courses included in their membership. Get it? Got it? Good. You know where to find me if you have more questions. I assume Gina's doing her hangout later today. So go to Small Business Accounting Advisors, SBAA on Facebook, and find out what she's up to later today. Me, I'm going to go get busy. I want to finish this bulletproof bookkeeping course as soon as possible because I'm anxious to get onto the other stuff, right? So tell everybody about it. And we do have an affiliate program, by the way. And I think I finally nailed down how I'm going to pay out on the affiliate program for the bookkeeping course. So if you'd like to become an affiliate, reach out to me. I'll get you the link so you can sign up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay you 10% on the first 5 referrals and then 20% thereafter, right? That's my way of giving you incentive to really help me and share it out there and compensate you for the referrals. So email me or message me on Facebook, and I will get you the link so you can sign up to become an affiliate for that. And then you can start making money off of my content. Imagine. Not a bad deal. And that's about it for now. So again, if you have questions, reach out to me. You know where to find me. new.nerdenterprises.com is where you can find absolutely everything new about me and on the website and everything. So if you need something, reach out to me. Let me know. All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
There you go.
Great weekend.